Who says, who defines, who is intelligent?
It's the question Tony Buzan has devoted his life to answering.
What is intelligence? How do you define it? What does it mean?
Defining intelligence is at the heart of Tony Buzan's work.
What is it that makes intelligence? What is it that releases the potential of the brain? What is genius?
Using the full potential of our brains is the theme behind many of Tony Buzan's million-selling books.
Most of us use less than 1% of our brains, but learning expert Tony Buzan claims he can prove that you're smarter than you think you are. He's just published a new book. Here it is. It's called Head First. It says it will help you excel in every part of your life. Well, I'm pleased to say that Tony's here with me now. Good morning.
Good morning.
You say we only use 1% of our brains. How do you know that?
Well, actually, the good news is it's even less. It's even
That's good
less.
news, is it?
It's good news.
Because there's a lot more potential.
Yeah, it means that we have 99+% potential still to go.
With over 80 book titles to his name, Tony Buzan has established himself as the world's leading authority on learning and the brain.
These books are not for academics, and they're not for the general public, and they're not for students. They're for anyone with a brain.
As founder of the World Memory Championships, Tony Buzan is at the forefront of mind-expanding techniques. His mental exercises are designed to unlock the reservoirs of unrealized potential in our brains. Huge international competitions attract the brightest minds from all around the world. But it isn't only the young and brilliant who stand to benefit from Tony Buzan's work. We're all born with a brain that's hungry for knowledge. How we feed it is what fascinates Tony Buzan.
At the end of the 20th century, we discovered the brain cell in its full magnificence. Filming through an electron microscope, you see this phenomenal little being. I mean, I believe it's the most amazing thing that anybody will ever see. And it's in this channel of brain fluid, and it's like a baby's hand. And you see it searching for connection. And when you show this to people, and you just say, look at that, describe it, the words that they use are always the following: amazing, wonderful, incredible, thorough, persistent, searching, a miracle. And then you say, look at all those words. What do those words describe? Well, they describe the brain cell. And then you say, your brain seeing this thing, use these words. These words are you, without knowing it, describing yourself.
Personally, I can say that I've met two real geniuses in my life. One is Garry Kasparov, the world chess champion, and the other one is Tony Buzan. Meeting Tony is like plugging into an electric socket of the mind. After you meet him, you're totally enlivened, full of wonderful new creative ideas.
I will now teach you how to remember the planets of the solar system, so I want you to imagine...
It isn't only through his million-selling books that Tony Buzan reaches his public. A stimulating and compelling speaker, he addresses governments and schools, business seminars and television audiences with a skillful mix of enthusiasm, passion and humour.
Venus.
Hey!
You see it beginning to work?
Mercury, Venus, yes. I like this.
She picks up...
The brain became my hobby. So I was, developing my own memory, working on IQ, working on my body. And by the time I was about 28, I realized that I was spending 14 hours a day on my hobby and almost nothing on what I was supposed to be doing. And I realized that this was the most fascinating and the most important subject. I looked at myself when I didn't know, and myself when I did know how this thing began to function. And the difference in performance, the difference in success rate, the difference in my happiness and self-fulfillment was massive.
It's easy to think of training for the brain as a purely academic exercise. In fact, nothing could be further from the truth, as one of Britain's greatest athletes can testify.
People don't realise of how much the mind plays a part. When you watch top sporting events of whatever they are, the commentators talk about the mental side of it, the pressures they're under and all that side of it.
There had been doubts coming into the Games that the Iron Men of rowing were still the world's dominant force. But as the Italians closed on them at the finish, they showed what great champions they are.
People don't realise how much sort of mind games there are within sports, and how much the brain does play a part.
Gold for Great Britain and a place in the record books and British sporting legend for Stephen Redgrave.
Visualization is being recognised as a major weapon in the sports arsenal.
It's fitting that Tony Buzan, himself an accomplished oarsman and coach to the women's British Olympic rowing team, should have provided Steve Redgrave with a key weapon in his winning armoury.
I'm certainly an athlete when I'm visualisation, that I'm actually there doing it. You stand on a start of an Olympic race, and it comes down to the battle of the brains in some respects, of who's got the best tactics, of who can mentally switch on to what they've actually got to do. And that's really the important side of sports.
The public impression of intelligence is physically weak. The public impression of physical strength is mentally weak. The truth is exactly the opposite. If you're developing your brain, your body develops as well. If you are developing your body, your brain develops as well. If you develop both of them in coordination, you multiply the benefits. So in a sense, the books that I'm writing are rescue operations for the human brain, rescue operations for the human body. That's what they're about.
Tony Buzan's new book, Headstrong, takes the principles of developing the mind and the body together even further. Little wonder then that Steve Redgrave has chosen to endorse it. Tony Buzan's reputation, like his influence, is truly global. His books are now published in over 100 countries and 30 languages. His regular television appearances in Australia, the Far East and the United States are a measure not only of the growing momentum of interest in his work, but also of its universal importance.
What is Memoriad 2000? What is this?
It is the American Championships for the Brain.
A vital aid to the way we organize our minds was invented by Tony Buzan. These diagrams are the mental equivalent of the maps we use to make a journey across country. Only they're for a journey of the mind. Tony Buzan calls them mind maps.
A mind map is a tool for any thinking task. So if you have a wedding you want to plan, and there are many people who've done this, you mind map the wedding. You know, you put your little symbol of love and beauty and the two of you in the middle, and then you have a branch for the guests, a branch for the food, a branch for the drinks, a branch for the timing, the nature of the ceremony, the music, etc. So you get this wonderful picture of your wedding. If you have a mind map, it's all in one picture. You can see what you have done, what you need to do, what's a priority, what can wait. So you're always in control. You are running your own life, rather than the pace and the stress of it running you. So the mind map is a tool for life, but it's also a tool that helps you manage, run, create, plan, and make more successful your life.
And mind mapping can be fun, as 5,000 schoolchildren found out when they took part in a vast communal mind mapping day at a local football ground. Mastermind for the day was the great cartographer of the mind, Tony Buzan.
It's a double record breaker. It's double in that it's the largest class ever taught to learn how to learn and use their brains. And the second one is that they have produced the largest mind map ever. It's a mind map so big that it covers this entire football pitch.
For these children, the prospect of mind mapping is a stimulating visual alternative to the daily grind of repetitious and boring note-taking.
So give a cheer for your own brains now.
I believe that the brain is the new frontier. You know, we're down in the oceans, we're down into the microcosmos. We've got the Hubble reaching literally to the ends of the universe. And we are suddenly discovering that there's this other universe. And it's the universe inside the human brain, which as soon as you start to go into that, you realize expands infinitely in all directions. We are a universe in ourselves. And as soon as we start to realize that and explore it, the potential is not only limitless, it's also it's magical in its implications.